gut health is like a total science on its own. Like the microbiome there's like scientists who specialize in this and dedicate their life to it. So there is, despite it being like a relatively new field, there is so much to learn, so much to cover on this topic. And the thing is it is a relatively new like field. So there's constantly new information that we are learning about it. And even in the last several years, like they've totally discovered new things about your gut. So just keep that in mind as we go through this information today, that it's constantly evolving. So we're going to be talking specifically about kind of the basics of gut health and a really informative overview. Tomorrow's Brittany is going to be talking specifically about fermented foods. There may be, as you guys know, like in fitness, like there might be, contradicting things. And of course, you just want to take this knowledge and apply to it what you need in your life, because everyone is different and certain things are going to be right for certain people and certain things are not. Okay, so what is the microbiome? I want to talk about that first because before I was a trainer, before I was certified in nutrition and everything, like I remember listening to a podcast and being like, what the hell is a microbiome? Like I had no idea. And I'm sure there's some of you here who don't know what a microbiome is. So the microbiome is essentially the ecosystem of bacteria that live inside your gut. And your gut health is central to how other systems in your body function. And there's actually so much that I learned about gut health relatively in the last couple of years that like completely blew my mind. Some of it I'm going to share with you guys. So the microbiome is within your gut, and your gut is actually considered your second brain. So some of you guys may have heard about that before. And like your fingerprint, your microbiome is going to be completely specific to you. So there's no two that are the same out there in the world. I don't even think like identical twins would be the same. I'm just thinking of identical twins because my boyfriend like has this guy who works for his company and he has an identical twin and like he thought it was him and it wasn't, and it was funny. Okay, wait, I need a drink. So like a fingerprint, it is very distinct to you, but it is still continuously changing. So the ecosystem of your gut today can be completely different in a month from now. And there are many factors that affect that. Of course, what you eat, the quality of your food, your stress level being some of the huge ones. We're going to dive deeper into that. So I'm going to list some symptoms that can be correlated to an unhealthy gut. Just because you have some of these does not mean that you have gut issues. There's many other things that can also be contributing factors. However, the gut is something that we can work on improving. In some instances, you may need to work with a practitioner that is outside of our scope, like an actual doctor. But as your trainers and coaches, there are definitely things that we can do and recommend to help you with your gut health, because sometimes you might have a symptom that you think is coming from something else. It would make sense, like, oh, I'm getting a headache because of my head. But there can be symptoms that are being exhibited in your life and in your body that are actually coming from your gut, and you might have no idea because it wouldn't seem like it would be. So I'm going to list off some of these symptoms. If you guys have any of these symptoms, say me in the chat. You don't have to tell us which ones, but some of these will probably surprise you. And I want to know if you're on the replay or if you're here live, I want to know like how many of you guys are exhibiting or seeing these symptoms in your body and life. Hi, Crystal. Hi, Felicia. Okay. So some of the symptoms that can be correlated to an unhealthy gut, but not necessarily, are constipation, diarrhea, stomach pain, bloating, heartburn, insomnia, sleep issues in general, joint pain, brain fog, skin issues, so like acne, oily skin, any type of skin issue, mood swings, depression, and anxiety. So that's just like some of them. Those are just some of the ones that like I picked to talk about because those are like the most common ones, I would say, but there's like at least like 20 more that can actually literally be coming from your gut. So that's like very shocking, right? So yeah, Crystal says me, Felicia says me. I'm pretty sure some of you guys here. Of course, like I'm not saying like, oh, you have an unhealthy gut, that's causing your anxiety. Like it's probably more likely your anxiety is coming from something else, but it can be coming from your gut, which is fascinating. Or a combination, right? So it's actually a homemade iced coffee. I just like to keep my Starbucks cups because it makes me feel like fancy. Now, when it comes to supporting and promoting a healthy gut, there are two key focus areas that we kind of want to address. So that is supporting the balance of bacteria in your gut and supporting the diversity of bacteria in your gut. So the balance of the bacteria and the diversity of the bacteria. So if either of those things are out of whack, you're going to start to see and feel problems arise, okay? Is this making sense so far? We just got a few more viewers. I should probably slow it down because we already covered a lot of info. So we just talked about the symptoms of an unhealthy gut. Hey, Ashley, what's up? We just talked about the symptoms, what you might find yourself exhibiting. Now we are going to talk about what can cause an unhealthy gut, okay? So what can cause the balance of bacteria in your gut to be out of whack and or the diversity of bacteria to be out of whack. Erin has to run, but she's going to catch the replay. Sounds good. You'll definitely want to, Erin. I think this will interest you. So, what can cause those imbalances? Stress is number one. Stress is by far the most common and most, the biggest thing that will impact your gut health in a negative fashion. So if you have a lot of stress in your life, especially the bad stress, so not necessarily the stress from dieting or the stress from training, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Samantha did a live stream on stress a couple weeks ago. If you guys didn't catch that one, she talks about like differences in good stress, bad stress. But stress is the number one thing that is going to impact your gut. Elevated cortisol. Again, cortisol is your stress hormone. An elevation in that hormone will change the bacteria, the environment and or the bacteria in your gut. And chronic stress will change things in your body metabolically. So again, your metabolism, a lot of people like to throw that word around. What your metabolism is the scientific term is like the sum of all anabolic and catabolic reactions that occur in your body. But what that means is anything that like uses energy, or anything that like breaks down things in your body is your metabolism. So essentially it's how optimally your body will function. Okay. So if you guys even think about things like anxiety and nervousness, if you think about what that feels like, typically we feel a lot of those symptoms like in our gut, in our stomach. And like we talked about at the very beginning, like your gut in Europe, I think it's in Europe, they call your gut your second brain. So in some European countries, like when you exhibit a symptom, they immediately go to your gut health. I feel like in North America, they don't so much do that. You actually have to like go to like a gut specialist to get some people to actually like give you the tests and stuff. But yeah, it's very interesting. So another thing, this is a really interesting one because I know there's at least a couple people here who you guys will resonate with this. And you might not know this, but prescription medication can significantly affect your microbiome. It can affect the balance of gut bacteria, especially if you're someone who's like ever had like surgery and you've been on like T3s or something. You will know your gut like goes crazy when you're taking those painkillers and like anti-inflammatories. So prescription medication, specifically anti-inflammatories, naproxen, T3s, even Tylenol and Advil. So Samantha, I know Samantha's with me on this one. I've actually never talked to Brittany about this, but like me and Samantha do not take Advil. We do not take Tylenol. You literally have to force it down my fucking throat. Like I won't take it. Like please, if you're listening to this and you are taking Advil and Tylenol for muscle soreness from working out, please stop. Not only does it affect your gut, it actually will stunt your progress when it comes to muscle growth. You actually need inflammation for your muscles to grow. I'm not saying if you have a headache, like, don't take Tylenol, don't take Advil. I don't, but I'm not telling you guys to do that. But there are, in my opinion, again, I'm not a doctor, but in my opinion, there are better natural anti-inflammatories, things like bromelain, things like CBD oil, things like turmeric. I actually don't like turmeric personally, but that's a great option for some people. Those are some better anti-inflammatories than Tylenol and Advil. Again, if you have a headache or you're like sick, of course, like, take it, but I don't take it for muscle soreness from training unless you have like an injury. Like a, what's it called? One of those injuries where you like hurt yourself immediately and the pain comes on. I should know that word, and it's just my brain's not thinking. What's that word? What is that word, you guys? Tell me that word. It's not chronic. It's like the opposite of that. When you hurt yourself immediately and it like swells up. Anyways, let's go on to the next one. Birth control. Birth control can affect your gut health, specifically like the pill, but even like an IUD, it is still a hormonal birth control, even though it's a significantly lower dose and you're not taking it like orally. That will still affect your gut health. Sometimes, here's another interesting one. Acute. Yes, Megan, acute. I totally should know that. Yes, acute. If it's an acute injury, there's a high chance you may want to take like an anti-inflammatory if you like twist your ankle or whatever. Sometimes gut health, I didn't actually know this. Sometimes gut health can be triggered by a traumatic event. So you might have like a perfectly healthy gut your whole life, and then things like a car accident, a breakup, a miscarriage, losing your job, anything like that. And I'm not saying any of those are better or worse than the other, but any type of traumatic event can actually trigger an imbalance in your gut that you might have to deal with going forward throughout your life. And then the final one is an obvious one, but it's foods that you eat or do not eat. So including certain foods in your diet that maybe don't agree with your body despite them being healthy foods, and foods that maybe you're not including in your diet that could provide you with something that you are lacking, okay? So that's the one that's very gray when it comes to like person to person, because everyone is very different. Like we talked about, your microbiome is like your fingerprint, and not only is it like your fingerprint, it's going to continuously change. So now we're going to talk about the most common inflammatory foods for gut health issues, okay? Now, I am not at all saying that these foods are bad. I am not at all saying that you should not eat these foods or that you should cut these foods out, because I know for a fact that some of you guys eat these foods and have zero issues. I know for a fact that some of the coaches eat these foods and have zero issues. I know that I eat some of these foods and I do have issues, but some of them I don't. So the most common inflammatory foods for gut health are things that contain gluten, dairy, and sugar. Okay? Unfortunately, those are usually delicious, and we typically like to consume those foods. Now, those do not cause gut issues for everyone. In fact, a lot of people, they don't. But those are the most common, okay? So Brittany did a live stream a while back talking about protein and how to hit your protein goal. If you haven't watched it and you ever struggle with protein, highly recommend. However, a lot of her examples were dairy products. And there's nothing wrong with dairy products. And especially if you're not someone who loves eating meat all the time, dairy is a great option to get some protein in. However, some of us, like myself, I can't eat a lot of dairy. Not only do I not like it, but it makes me feel very sick. I'm like borderline lactose intolerant. I actually had tests done and I do have an actual dairy sensitivity. If you guys reach out to like Caitlin, I think her thing is like Balanced Bodies LS. I don't know what the LS means. I know some of you guys have gone to her. She can do a scan for you. It's like very non-invasive. She literally puts a thing on your finger. And it will tell you exactly what you are sensitive to. I've had some clients do it and like really nothing came back, but I've had some clients do it and like they found out a ton of stuff that what they were sensitive to that they had no idea. And she can tell you everything. Like one came up for me that was like this random pesticide and like, Anyways, that's a whole nother thing. But you can also then run a supplement through your system and see if it would fix any of the issues you're having, which I think is really cool. Anyways, and it'll also tell you if that supplement like does nothing for you, which is also really cool. I think it's more for like vitamins and minerals than like something like a fat burner, though. I'm not too sure. It's not my area of expertise. So anyways, Brittany did a live stream talking about protein. It was actually fantastic. She talked about some things that like I didn't even think about. But if dairy is an inflammatory food for you, like it is for me, eating a lot of protein from dairy is not the best idea, okay? So when it comes to foods for gut health, you've probably heard about like Greek yogurt, because Greek yogurt contains probiotics, it contains those bacteria, which is awesome. And it is a great food for gut health if you're not sensitive to dairy, okay? Where some people are. I freaking love Greek yogurt. I love it, but I feel sick every time I eat it, and I eat it anyways because I love it, but it does make me feel sick. So I'm sorry, I'm still a little sick, as you guys can hear. Dairy, if you eat a lot of it and you have issues, not everyone does, it can actually destruct the balance and the lining of your digestive tract. And there are cells in that tract, in your digestive tract, and between them, there are proteins called tight junctions, okay? And when you eat an inflammatory food, which will be different from person to person. For me, dairy is relatively inflammatory. They break down those tight junctions and they leave spaces between the cells that can allow partially undigested food to enter your bloodstream, okay? And when that happens, it's going to cause like a cascade of immune responses, which can lead to various health issues, such as those things we mentioned, like skin issues, like bloating, like brain fog, like mood swings, like all of those issues we talked about at the beginning. So sometimes you might not know if food is inflammatory for you. You can get tests done to figure it out. You might be eating a certain food for your whole life, and you might just think like, oh, I just get acne, or like, oh, I just have mood swings. But it could be triggered by something that you have been eating. So a good way is just like, if you're exhibiting any symptoms that don't seem normal to you, keep track of when those happen. Keep track of what you ate that day. You should be able to look back at your food log or your meal plan or whatever, and see like what you ate that day and see if you can identify patterns. It will take time. Even when you get tests done, it still takes time to like rule out what it is, what it isn't. But yeah, it's worth keeping track of, because if you can like eliminate your skin issues by taking a certain food out of your diet for a certain period of time, because typically when you have a food, like not always, but sometimes you can take that food out just for several weeks or months while your gut heals. And then you can slowly reintroduce that food once you have a healed gut with a balance of bacteria and a diverse bacteria in there, and it may agree with you and you may have healed that issue. Not always, but that is a very possible situation, okay? I need to have another drink. If you guys have questions, feel free to drop them in. Another surprising food, this is a surprising one, that can cause this same issue. Are you ready for it? Do you guys want to guess? Guess the food. Guess the food. I don't even know who's here still. There's 4 of you guys. I think it's Megan. Is it Cassandra maybe? Katie, are you here? Who's here? Let me know. What do you guys think the other food is? If you're my client, some of you, I've talked about this before. Also, if my eye looks red, it's because my contact, like, I had, like, 2 eyelashes stuck under it before I started this live stream, and I actually had to change the contact, so I was, like, digging in my eye if it looks a little red. Do you guys know what the final food is? No one's gonna guess. If you're on the replay, make sure you guess. Okay, because I'm about to tell you. Another surprising food that can cause significant gut issues is vegetables. Vegetables can be very troublesome for a lot of clients, which is unfortunate because vegetables are really good for you. They contain a ton of minerals, they contain a ton of vitamins, and you will see on social media and out there in the podcast world and everything, a lot of people who have very what's the word? My brain isn't working for words today. Polarizing, is that what it's called? Like very different ends of the spectrum when it comes to vegetables. You will have some people who say vegetables are actually very bad for you, and we've just been told to eat vegetables when they're not actually great for you. You will have people that say the health benefits of eating vegetables outweighs the negative effects that they can have on your gut and your body, and then you'll have people that are kind of in between, okay? My opinion is that you should eat vegetables. You should be cautious and aware of how those vegetables feel in your body when you eat them, okay? Cooking a vegetable can completely change the cellular structure of it so that it may be more digestible for you, because some vegetables are not very digestible. I just have to look at my notes here because I went off track, but I do have clients who are very sensitive to vegetables, especially raw vegetables. I personally have no issues with vegetables. I can eat a whole fridge full of raw vegetables and have no issues. Sometimes the common ones would be kale, broccoli, sometimes cauliflower, what else? Typically root vegetables don't give people issues, but those cruciferous ones, whatever you call them, those ones are more likely to cause gut issues in some people, not for me, thankfully, because I like vegetables. Now, vegetables are very good to include in your diet because they contain fiber. Fiber is key. Typically, you're going to want to aim for 20 to 30 grams of fiber per day. 25 is kind of the average. So if you're hitting around there, that's where you want to aim for. If you guys track your food in MyFitnessPal, you will be able to go in and see your daily, sorry, you will be able to go in and see your daily fiber intake. You want to aim for around 25 grams unless your coach has specifically told you differently. Sometimes I have had my clients increase or decrease that number. Cooked vegetables are typically a better option, but if you have no issues with raw vegetables and you like them, eat raw vegetables. I love raw snap peas. I love raw carrots. I love raw lettuce. I like eating that. But some people, it causes really bad bloating and issues. There's also, I'm not sure if you guys have heard of this, if you've ever heard of lectins. So some plant foods, peanuts, I think Samantha was talking about peanuts before and how they are inflammatory. There's nothing wrong with eating peanuts if you like them again, but peanuts, beans, grains, and a lot of vegetables contain lectins. So I find lectins really, really interesting. They are a type of protein that can bind to sugar. And so plants are very, very, I'm so sorry, you guys. Sometimes you just get a cough and you just can't stop. Okay, so plants are very, very smart. And lectins are actually a plant's defense mechanism to stay alive, okay? Nature is freaking fascinating. It's way smarter than any technology, I swear. So when animals eat plants, lectins, so the lectins in the plant will attack their gut, okay? And it causes gut distress. Which reduces the body's ability to absorb nutrients. Now, from a kind of evolutionary standpoint, animals want to stay alive. They want to procreate and they want to keep on living, right? So when they eat a plant and it attacks their gut, and they're not able to digest those nutrients as effectively, that animal is going to say, I'm not going to eat that plant anymore. Because that animal is a lot smarter than we are a lot of the time, okay? So if we eat, let's just say a plant, but in today's society, it's probably more like a bag of chips or whatever, right? But if we eat a plant, if we eat whatever, and it attacks our gut and makes us feel like shit, we're probably going to go, oh, well, yum, it tasted freaking good and I like it, so I'm going to keep eating it, right? Whereas an animal is going to be smart enough to know to avoid that plant because it caused them gut distress, okay? Humans also have a lot more going on than a wolf running around in the wilderness, probably. I don't think wolves eat plants anyways, but you guys get what I'm saying. Plants are very smart. So the thing is, on the flip side of that, because there's always the flip side, foods that contain lectins are often also full of antioxidants. Vitamins, minerals, things that also improve your health. So there are a ton of positive health benefits associated with eating those foods and those plants. So in my opinion, when it comes to that, unless you are experiencing gut issues, the positives definitely outweigh the negatives. And cooking plant foods will typically reduce or eliminate those effects. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Now we're going to move on to what should you do if you're looking to heal and or optimize your gut health, okay? The first step and the most important step, again, with this, and when I was learning about this, especially even just to put this live stream together and just in previous webinars and podcasts and things I've read about gut health, everyone says that it's very, very important that you do this in a linear fashion, okay? Because if you take the wrong probiotics or you eliminate the wrong food, you're not fixing the problem, and you're going to get very, very confused, because even scientists who specialize in this get very, very confused because it's such a complex thing. So the very first step to healing and optimizing your gut health is to manage your stress. If you can fix the problem by managing your stress, that's awesome. Like, that's what we want to do. That is the goal, right? So the first thing is to manage your stress. Make sure you're recovering from your training. If you're not, talk to your coach because something needs to change. Make sure you are sleeping. Make sure you're putting things in place to optimize your sleep. If you're not sleeping well, there's a ton of information in the group about how to optimize your sleep, or talk to your coach. Just post in the group, message us, let us know that you're not sleeping so that we can help you, because sleep and stress are the two things you want to focus on very, very first before you add a supplement, before you cut out a food, before you do anything. Why would you cut out a food? Why would you spend money on supplements that just mask the problem when you need to actually get to the root cause of what's going on, right? And it might be stemming from something else, but if you manage your sleep and your stress first and the issue is still persistent, we can rule those out. We can go, okay, obviously it wasn't coming from stress. Obviously it wasn't coming from sleep. Now we can go to the next thing, okay? So the next thing, once your sleep, your recovery, and your stress are relatively managed, and I mean, that's taking into account the fact that we are human, we are going to have stress in our life. It's the reality, right? Nothing's ever going to be perfect. We're always going to have a little bit of stress. I'm not expecting you guys to just like never have stress, trust me. The next thing you want to consider is, how many foods are you eating? Like, how many different foods are you eating? There's nothing wrong with eating the same things. Like, I eat the same things a lot, but again, everyone is very different. So maybe it's for you, it's not the balance of bacteria in your gut that's causing issues. Maybe it's the diversity. Maybe you need more variety. Especially if you are experiencing symptoms, the gut bacteria diversity could be lacking. So, we're going to want to look at what foods can we add in to your diet? What foods are you not eating enough of? What kind of symptoms are you having? From there, we can also add in pre and probiotic foods and or supplements. But realistically, if we don't remove the food that is causing that stress, your gut might not heal itself with fermented foods or prebiotics or probiotics or any of those types of things. So we want to keep track of when we are experiencing those symptoms so that we can try to identify patterns. If you're a client who's been working with me for a long time, often if you guys are having any types of problems, I will have you keep track of it so that you can identify patterns, because keeping track of things not only keeps us on track and aware, because awareness is like the key to everything, but it's generally quite easy to identify a pattern when you start tracking things, okay? So if you're having issues in any area of your life, I recommend start tracking it. Sorry for the coughs. Okay. Keep a journal of the symptoms that you're experiencing and what you ate that day. Your body is going to give you feedback. You want to think about, like, when are you having bloating? When are you having mood swings? Does it correlate with certain meals? Does it correlate with certain times of the day, certain times of the month, etc.? So there is a thing called a low FODMAP diet. I'm so sorry. I have a diagram. I'm going to post it in the group that goes in depth because I don't want to go too in depth on this because there's a diagram for it and this isn't so much what this is about. But the low FODMAP diet, you guys have maybe heard about it. It stands for like these fancy words that are essentially carbohydrates. It's fermentable oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyols, I think. So what this diet does is it temporarily restricts certain foods that are generally inflammatory so that your gut and your gut lining will have a chance to heal itself and kind of restore that healthy gut bacteria. So yeah, I'm going to post a diagram that kind of shows you those foods. Again, it is not a diet that I recommend everyone do because it's definitely not necessary for everyone. I think there's a very small select number of our clients who do have gut issues. But it is worth just like having that knowledge, I think. So, adding in a supplement, again, a pre and or a probiotic sometimes. So this is an interesting thing. When I had my testing done, for my gut issues, which I don't have significant gut issues, but I didn't, which one was it? I can't remember because this was like a year ago now and I fixed the issue and it's not here anymore. But, I can't remember if it was pre or probiotic. I honestly can't remember and I feel like I should, but, she ran like a probiotic through my system and it didn't actually adjust the issue. Like it only improved it by like 30%. And then she ran like a pre and a probiotic through my system and it improved it by like 70%. So I got the supplements and I took them for like 3 months and then my issue like literally went away. I can't remember exactly it though, so don't quote me on that. And anyways, you would be different than me. Adding in a pre and a probiotic is great, but I wouldn't do it as step 1. Okay. There are also a lot of different strains of pre and probiotics. And if you take the wrong kind or the kind that you don't actually need, you can end up with an overgrowth of a certain bacteria that can make the problem that much worse, okay? So I do recommend going to get your tests done, go to a naturopath, go to see Caitlin, get her to do the scan so that you can know exactly what pre and or probiotic you should get, because I can tell you which one I take, but it might not be the one that you need, okay? That's really, really, really important. I think that that's not stressed enough when people say take a prebiotic or take a probiotic and people just go buy any one. Another thing is the probiotic that you buy should be a refrigerated one. If it's not one that needs to be kept cold, it's probably not going to do anything. It's probably not the best. So yeah, get testing done because that is like the first step to know what's actually up, because you can't look at someone and be like, oh, you're missing XYZ bacteria in your gut, you know? All right, so now we're going to get into some really good practical action steps that you can do, whether you have gut health issues or whether you just want to take like a proactive approach towards not developing gut issues. If you guys have questions, drop them in. All right, so first thing you can do if you want to maintain a healthy gut and or just be healthy, go for a walk ideally after your last meal of the day. Walking in general is great. It's fantastic. The easiest way to bump up your weight loss, specifically weight loss, is bringing up your like daily caloric expenditure. I just meant to deny his call. He should be watching this anyway. Well, he shouldn't be because he's out doing something, but he should know that I'm on live. Anyways, so yeah, going for a walk after the last meal of your day, ideally. So it's going to not only help with digestion, it's going to help you bring up your daily caloric expenditure, and it also helps with insulin sensitivity, which is what we want. If you are insulin resistant or close to that, it's not ideal for weight loss. So going for a walk in the evening specifically is a great thing to do. Now, there is a little bit of research that suggests doing cardio in the morning is a little bit better when we talk about actual cardio. So now he's asking me if I want sushi. No, I don't want sushi. Anyways, I usually put my phone on airplane mode. I didn't today. So So, sorry, totally distracted here now, thinking about sushi. Um, there's a small amount of research that suggests if you do cardio, like actual cardio in the morning, whether you're doing it fasted or not fasted, that you will burn a little bit more calories than you would if you did it later in the day. However, when it comes to like a steady state walk, it's research suggests it's better to do it in the evening. However, it's better to just move your body. Make sure you're moving your body, regardless of what time you do it. However, if you're in a plateau, if you're stuck right now, adding in an evening walk is a great option. The next little tip is chew your food. I know it sounds silly, but chew your food more than you think you need to. Not only is it going to take you longer to eat your meals and help you feel more satisfied after you've eaten your meal, but if you think about it, your body has to break down all of that food that you eat into its little tiny particles to absorb it. That's a lot of work. So chew your food, like make it easy for your body to digest and absorb it. If you gulp down your food, like no wonder you have bloating. Like Brendan doesn't chew his rice. He just like swallows the rice. He's like, it's already like small enough, but like chew your rice. Chew your rice. Make sure. Another one. So this one is a little controversial, but like whatever, here we go. Stop eating before bed. Now, the reason you want to do this is not because you will lose more weight. It really doesn't matter what time of day you eat. I will typically tell my clients to eat about every 3 hours or 2 to 4 hours, depending on their schedule. It doesn't matter if you ate all of your food in one meal, like it wouldn't really kill you or anything, but to keep your hormones in balance, to reduce cravings, and to make sure you're like giving your body a supply of fuel to get you through the day, you typically do, in my opinion, want to be eating like every 2 to 4 hours. Eating at night is not a bad thing. It's not going to make you gain weight. However, it can impact your sleep and it can impact your digestion. If your sleep is being impacted negatively, like we talked about, that's the number one thing that can cause gut issues. If you're having gut issues, you're not going to feel good. If you're not feeling good, your performance is going to be down. If you can't perform, you're not going to be able to work out effectively. You're not going to be able to get your cardio in. You're not going to be able to get your workout in. You're not going to be able to eat enough because you're going to be bloated. You're going to feel like shit. You're going to think you're gaining weight, but you're really just bloated because your stomach lining is messed up. So it's all connected, you guys. My opinion is like a minimum 1 hour before bed, like try to stop eating. 2 hours would be a little more ideal because your body needs time to like digest that food before you go to sleep. It definitely won't make you gain weight. So if you're like need to hit your calories and you're like so close and you eat an hour before bed or even 30 minutes before bed, it will not kill your progress. Absolutely will not. There's nothing wrong with eating at night, but aim to stop eating before bed, like within reason, okay? Because it will negatively affect your sleep quality. It will negatively affect your digestion. Again, everyone's a little different. Some you may affect more than others. I find it affects mine a lot. The next thing, this one's really, really important, again, is give your gut a break. Despite needing to eat every several hours, you should not be snacking all day long. You should not be consuming food or drink. And when I say drink, I don't mean water. I mean like iced coffee and like smoothies and juice or whatever you guys drink. Like you should be predominantly drinking like water, or even like water with Mio is okay, water with lemon or water with infused whatever, water with BCAAs, but you don't want to be like consuming food all day long because your digestion is not going to get a break. You're going to be doing it all day. And if you eat close to bedtime, it's going to be going all night. Your gut is not going to get a break, okay? So we don't want to be snacking all day long. Like even if you're fitting it into your calories and your macros and stuff, like that is a huge deal. We want to fit it in, and that's awesome if you are, but we don't want to be snacking every 20 minutes. You want to give your gut a break, especially if you're someone who experiences bloating, who experiences stomach pain, constipation, diarrhea, any of those things. That's your body telling you like something is off, okay? Here's another big one. Wash your food. Definitely wash your food, especially like your produce, fruits, vegetables, all that stuff, because you want to remove the pesticides. Pesticides are antibacterial, okay? And bacteria in your gut, antibacteria. If you eat the apple with the pesticides on it, it's going to kill your gut bacteria. We don't want pesticides killing our good gut bacteria. So washing your food, super, super simple. Make sure you do it. L-glutamine. Glutamine, it's an amino acid. It's amazing for recovery. If you're sore, highly recommend glutamine. Don't go taking Tylenol and Advil, as we discussed at the beginning. It's great for muscle soreness. It's also good for your gut health. So I recommend adding in glutamine, L-glutamine, after, usually you want to take it after training, but doesn't really matter when you take it. It's not going to make a big difference. Apple cider vinegar, there is some research that suggests it can help with digestion. It's not a miracle thing that's going to be like, oh my God, now I took apple cider vinegar and I'm going to like lose all this weight. I've heard that before, where it's like, take a shot of apple cider vinegar and you burn like 5 times the calories. Not true. Brendan's watching. I don't want sushi, but thank you for the offer. Apple cider vinegar, yes. And then another one that can help, and some of my clients actually do this, is supplementing with a digestive enzyme. So they're actually fairly cheap. You can usually buy them for like $19 to $25 for like quite a lot of them at any supplement store. And you generally will take them a few minutes before you eat. And now who's commenting sushi? Yeah, so no, I don't want sushi. Supplementing with a digestive enzyme can absolutely help. So like my client Rochelle, for example, like I talk about her sometimes, she doesn't care at all. She uses digestive enzymes and they help her so much. She used to have like severe stomach pain after eating certain foods, started taking digestive enzymes and it like went away. And after like continuing to take them for a couple months, she literally didn't even need them anymore. So digestive enzymes can also help. Again, they're not right for everyone, but it's worth looking into, especially because it's a fairly cheap option. All right, we are almost done. We're going to finish off with a few cool facts about your gut. If you guys have any questions, make sure you drop them in because we're about to end. We have about 2 or 3 minutes left. All right, so 95, so these are really cool facts. 95% of your serotonin receptors are located in your gut. Serotonin is your happy hormone. So again, mood swings, depression, anxiety, strong correlation to your gut and your gut health. That I found very, very interesting. 95%. That's almost all of them. Okay, if you're here, drop your guess in the comments. How many pounds of gut bacteria do you think are in your gut on average? Drop it in. Drop your guess in the comments if you're here watching or if you're on the replay. How many pounds of bacteria do you think are in your gut? Let me know. I'm interested to see what you guys think, because honestly, I wouldn't have thought this number. I'll give you a hint. There are over 400 species of bacteria in your gut. And Alana says 30. 30, that's a lot. 2, says Cassandra. Okay, I'll tell you the number. Are you guys ready? Approximately 6.5 pounds of bacteria in your gut on average. So more than 2, definitely more than 2, a little less than 30, but 30 was a good guess. I know I've made it sound like there was a lot. Again, healthy gut. This one's kind of obvious, but as you guys can tell, a healthy gut is so important for weight loss, and it is so important for muscle gain. Linus is way off. I was expecting it to be crazy. I know sometimes when I'm doing like those like quiz things, and I'm like, it's like, what is this? Is it 100? Is it 2 or is it 5? I'm like, well, it's gotta be 100. Yes, so again, healthy gut is key because it affects your ability to digest and absorb nutrients. And if you're not digesting and absorbing nutrients, like, you're not getting what you need from the food that you're eating, okay? If your body is not absorbing, I keep like saying things and looking at my notes and then it like literally says exactly what I said. So I'm like, oh, I'll just say it again. But if your body is not absorbing nutrients properly, you're not going to be getting what your body needs, and your results will suffer. Your cravings will increase. I've actually talked about that one before in a live stream about how, I wish I remembered all the science behind it, but honestly, there's so much, you guys, how cravings can actually be caused from your gut bacteria. And if you're used to having certain foods, especially sugary foods, the bacteria in your gut can be used to you eating that at a certain time. So if you're someone who has like typically always eaten a bowl of ice cream, like full sugar ice cream, in the evening, again, there's a huge part of it that's psychological. There's a huge part of it that is habit-based. But if you've cut that out because you started a fitness program or whatever, and then like 6 o'clock hits and that's the time you usually have your bowl of ice cream, there's a physiological component to that where your gut bacteria are used to having that bowl of ice cream at 6 p.m. and they're like going, where the fuck's the ice cream? And you're like, no, I'm on a meal plan. I'm like doing my thing. But if you can, so there's other videos in the group about how to like, how to address cravings and habits. So I'm not going to touch on that, but, now I totally forgot what I was going to touch on, but, if you can, like, I wouldn't say this is the best way to break a bad habit, but if you can just like resist those cravings completely for like 3 to 4 days, and it is coming from your gut bacteria, those cravings should almost completely cease to exist. Those 3 to 4 days, though, they're going to be a challenge. They're going to be really, really challenging. But if you can tell yourself, like, this is not me, this is actually the bacteria in my gut that wants the food right now, and you can embrace that and convince yourself and hold on to it for 3 to 4 days, those cravings should completely cease to exist. Assuming they're coming from that. However, they could also be coming from a psychological component, something else that you're lacking in your life that you're craving, and or just default habits that you have programmed in, because that's a huge other component. But I do want to let you guys know that sometimes it can be physiologically an issue, and it can be coming from your gut. Did you guys get value? Some of you guys stuck around for the whole time. Some of you guys had to leave. Some of you guys are going to be on the replay. So if you watched this video, did you guys get value? Tell me, like, what stood out the most? Because there was a ton of information in this one. So hopefully you guys learned something. And if you did, tell me what stood out. Like, what did you learn? As you guys are thinking about what you learned, there's a challenge up in the group, so it's pinned to the top.